And so, as you've mentioned before, when she made her transition, and she did it in her own way because of the frustration she had with her life, I've heard from other people who've said that they've channeled her, that she was struggling emotionally or with her energy on the other side, but you've said that when you transition, all of that is gone.
It is. Because remember, in every moment that you are awake, your receiver is on. The question is, what's it tuned to? Is your tuner set to the receiving of who you really are, or is your tuner set to the receiving of the spin-off of man's conscious thought? So there are a whole lot of people that are in the receiving mode of something, but we promise you it's not that, or that's not what they would tell you.
You're not needing to clear your energy when you're in non-physical. There isn't any.
That clearing process happened when you make your transition. You leave behind all that stuff that you picked up along your physical trail, and you become the vibrational equivalent of you in your vortex.
Would she look back on it and regret the fact that she did that she opted out of this life?
Never. That's the thing that's so wonderful about associating with the likes of your inner being, who is always living in the now. What you begin to feel as we have these conversations is that when you are in vibrational resonance with your inner being, and therefore you feel like your inner being feels, your inner being is always looking forward from where you are to what's in the process of evolving. There is no regret. There's no looking back. And in fact, we've just been saying this recently, and some of you are resonating with it. You're ready to hear it, and for some it's a bigger stretch. But when you stand in your now, all tuned into your source, so that your perspective is that of the whole of you, not some separated part of you that was worried about stuff. When you are in concert with the whole of you, and now considering past things that you lived, your perspective of whole and the perspective of your source absolutely changes your past. The perception of your past changes. And so if she spends any time looking back there, it's that, well, that all led to this wonderful thing, and that was all of value for me to know and experience. And in other words, only looking at it from that broader perspective. And if you find yourself doing otherwise, the sorrow you feel when you ponder those thoughts is your evidence that you've separated from your own inner being and what your own inner being knows about that.
Yeah, I found that I needed to sleep a lot right after it happened. I just needed to disconnect with the negative energy.
The thing about most who are involved in religion, and the thing about most religions, is that while they often teach about the non-physical, they call it the hereafter, or they call it God, sometimes they call it source, most do not in their now connect with that. Most maintain their human form and sift and sort and try to figure out what from their human form they think God thinks about what they're doing. And they make up the most incredible stories and plagiarize God's name. Punishment and regret and making amends and all of that stuff is a figment of man's disconnected imagination. They're not in the receiving mode. They're not getting that from source energy. They're not. That impulse you had when you were a little kid and you're supposed to go to church, and you just got this overwhelming impulse to go play in the woods instead, that was God. And when you got in trouble from righteous parents who are trying to get you to learn how to be good, that was not God.
Yeah. Well, say hello to her for me.
You already did. And she's saying hello all the time. But what happens is, oh, you getting anything here? Getting any goosebumps like all over your body? Anybody getting them? Yeah. More so now. More so now.
And we'll have more lights together, I guess.
That implies you're not having that now. That took you into absence of having that rather than presence of having that. So just watch for and feel for the evidence of your interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Enough?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.